Hi guys, what's up? How's it going? Welcome to Sermondo Talks. My name is Christina and I'm here to introduce you to some of the smartest experts in the Amazon sphere. If you've already subscribed to our channel, good job, you get a thumbs up from me. If you're new to our channel and you'd like to get some industry insights, hear some interesting stories about entrepreneurship, and learn some useful hacks that you can apply to your own Amazon business, make sure you subscribe to our channel and hit that notification bell so you will never miss another episode again. My guest for you today is Sacha Gorelik, founder of Sacha Gorelik Copywriting. Let's say hi to her and ask her a few questions. So guys, I'm here today with Sacha Gorelik. She's the founder of Sacha Gorelik Copywriting. She lives near Jerusalem and takes the time to answer some of my questions today. Hi Sacha, glad to have you here.
Hi, nice to be here. Thanks for talking to me.
It's my pleasure. In one sentence, what is Sacha Gorelik Copywriting?
Well, I provide services that help Amazon sellers increase sales. That is always the goal. And among those services are Amazon listings and obviously the EBC text as well. And I also help people with website content.
And I saw you speak in Tel Aviv about branding. So this is also another passion of yours.
This is something that I do because as a copywriter, obviously, it's very hard to work sometimes with clients who don't have a direction for their business. So that's why I decided to start offering that also as a service to really help sellers get clear on their offerings and get clear on their brand and their target audience and things like that.
Great. And how long have you been doing all this?
So I got into copywriting about 4 years ago now. And specifically like in working in Amazon has been like the last kind of 3 years. And that's where I just kind of stuck. That was my niche and I decided I'm going to stick with that. But it has kind of branched out to also just e-commerce in general. So, yeah.
Why did you decide to work with Amazon sellers? Did you ever sell on Amazon yourself, or how was the idea born?
So that's a really interesting question. It kind of goes back a few years. I started a website in Israel for Israeli artists, and I was helping them selling their products online. And I kind of got into that. My website didn't really succeed in terms of monetary profits, but I learned a lot, and that's when I kind of got into the whole freelance writing and specifically writing about products because it was something I found that I enjoyed and I was also good at. And so I was actually hired by a company who had like 7 or 8 different brands on Amazon, and they taught me how to do listings and they trained me and everything like that. And I was like, oh, this is fun. Like, this is interesting. So then after working for them for about a year and a half, I kind of said like, thank you so much for the experience. But that's when I started doing it on my own. And that's just how it's been since then. Yeah.
All right. And a lot of Amazon sellers, they like to spend their money on, I don't know, product development or PPC campaigns. And a lot of sellers don't really see the need in creating optimized listings. So when you invest in a copywriter or listing optimization software, how would you say, what's the benefit of that? How do you help sellers make more money by creating a good listing?
Right. So, I mean, I think what it used to be a few years ago is that it didn't really make so much of a difference how good your listing was in terms of the copy. But now it's 2019, almost 2020. And like Amazon is a very saturated marketplace. And one of the ways that you're going to make your listing stand out is with really, really good copy and having a really good listing and obviously putting in all those keywords. Now, I have people who come to me a few months after they launch. They're like, my listing, it's not converting, my sales are not good. Can you help me? So sometimes I say yes, and sometimes I'll say no, because what happens with Amazon is that it's really risky to change your listing once it's been up already for a few months, because then you're basically starting from scratch. So if you've done giveaways or got reviews or are ranking for certain keywords, once you change everything, you're basically like wiping out any sort of momentum that you had. So even though your sales might not be so good, like sometimes they can get better after I improve your listing, which has been the case, but in some cases it's actually negatively impacted the listing. So I always say that when you're going to launch a new product, do it right the first time. Make sure the listing is fully optimized, have really good copy that's very persuasive and gives everyone all the details that they need, so that you don't have to go back afterwards and be like, oh no, why is my product not selling? So.
All right. And there are some freelancers and some agencies by now that offer listing optimization services, copywriting. Why should I choose you over competitors?
So that's a great question. Obviously, like, I have a lot of competition out there. There are thousands of freelancers on Upwork and Fiverr and agencies that do this. So I think the number one thing is that, like, I have a small team. So it's me, and I'm like the chief copywriter, and I have 3 other freelancers that I work with. And I've handpicked them, and I have a specific method that I use for the listings. And I also provide a very personalized service. So I really take the time to understand not just the product, but also like the person who's selling it. Like, you know, how come you chose this niche? Like, what's your brand about? And really ask them very important questions I think can really help differentiate their listings. And also I just think that I'm a really good writer, if I can say that. So
of course.
And I produce like very, very good content. And it also comes down to doing a lot of research. And I think that maybe a lot of copywriters don't understand that you want to really connect with the target market and with the customers. You have to research who they are, why they need this product, and how the product even works. So I've written about stuff in the medical field. I've written about stuff that's to do with fashion. I've written about stuff that's electronics. And so I always have to read manuals and just do a lot of research before I even start writing. So that's very important as well.
All right. And how does the process of working with you look like? For example, I have a product. Let's say it's my favorite example, like makeup brushes for makeup blush brushes and whatever. So I say like, okay, I want to sell this on, I don't know, Amazon UK or Amazon.com. Do I just send the product to you? Do I send you pictures? Do we have a phone call where I explain everything to you?
Right.
Like, from step one, how do we work together?
So step one, you can come to my website, and there's a contact form, and you fill out that contact form, and it will actually send you an automatic reply with the different packages that I offer. And if you need a custom package, so obviously I reply with what I can offer you if you need something that's custom. And most people don't send me the product unless they really want me to try it out. So one time I had a guy that was selling a like a back brace kind of thing. So he really wanted me to use it, like, and wear it and like really feel how it was. So that was fun. But in general, the pictures are enough. And then what happens with my process is that I have a form. People fill it out, and I ask them, you know, is this ASIN already live on Amazon? Like, who are your main competitors? What's your USP? Who's your target audience? Like, important measurements or materials that this product is made of. Do you have any social media channels that you want to show me? So all those kind of things you fill out. And then once I have all the information, then I get started on the listing, and I send it to you in a Word document or a Google Doc, whatever's preferred. And then the client will upload it themselves in Seller Central. So that's basically my process. Yeah.
And who are your clients? Are you working with clients from all over the world, big brands, small sellers?
Yeah, it's pretty crazy how varied my clients are. Like, I have a few big companies that I work with that are based, I don't know, one of them is based in Australia, another one, like a bunch of clients are from New York. Some people are from Europe. I've worked with people from China, from the UK as well, because I'm originally from the UK. So I call myself, I'm actually trilingual, but I can do the UK English, US English, and I speak Hebrew. But yeah, so definitely very varied.
All right. And you're in a creative job and working with creative people, doesn't matter if it's copywriting or product photographers. It's always hard to communicate what the client wants, right? So what do you expect from your clients? Should they give you like a mood board with their product features, or just give you some clicks? So what do you expect?
So I mean, in general, like, they give me pretty good amount of information, like in the form. If they have photos, it's obviously like really, really helpful. I had one guy that sent me a whole bunch of photos just so I could get like the vibe of what he wanted in the listing. But I do also ask clients, like, what kind of voice do they want? Do they want the copy to be funny, or do they want it to be more sophisticated, or like, do they want it to be more dumbed down because maybe the audience is not so educated or something like that? So that's definitely one of the questions that I ask. Yeah, like, so that's basically what I get from the clients.
And it's like totally natural that sometimes the first draft or whatever is not what the client wants. So how do you deal with a client that says he's not happy with the copy he received?
So, I mean, in general, people are usually very happy with the work that I produce. Obviously, it's not always perfect the first time. So if they have comments, so it's always like a standard thing. Whenever I send them the listing, I'm like, here is the listing, please send me your feedback and your comments. And then I will provide up to 3 revisions usually for listings, and also for EBC content if anyone needs revisions for that. And yeah, so I'm always very happy to hear feedback from the client, and I like to kind of work as a team with them, because obviously they know the product better than I do, because it's their product and it's their baby that they've spent months and months on, producing, and maybe even going to the factories in China. And so I understand when maybe I don't get something completely right and they want it to be phrased differently. So definitely I'm always happy to make changes if needed. So
okay, very good. And how do you stay up to date with all the changes in the TOS or laws, whatever comes into play regarding to work?
So yeah, that's a great question. Happens to be some of my clients will update me themselves. They'll be like, oh, we just got this update, and they'll like send me like tips that they see in Sell Essential, because a lot of times like they get notifications of changes and stuff like that. I also just follow like a lot of people in the industry, so I see when important videos comes up about changes with the algorithm or anything else. Like recently EBC was changed where they don't have the set templates anymore, and you can upload basically whatever kind of template you want, so you get to choose the layout. That actually is a little bit more confusing for some sellers now. So yeah, so I stay up to date with all the changes as much as I can. Yeah.
All right, then I will ask you some questions about you and your personal life, and I will start with, why did you decide to become self-employed and not work for some agency?
Okay. So I know I look really old, but I'm joking.
No.
I look really young, and I have 3 children, age 7. I can't believe I have a 7-year-old. I have a 7-year-old, and I have a 4-year-old, and I have a 2-year-old. And I really wanted to have a job that was flexible in terms of hours, and that I would be able to be there for them when they came home from school and stuff like that. And I just don't think I'm very good at being employed in an office. Like I don't know, it would be like, I'm a very creative person, so I enjoy the fact that I get to make the decisions and be my own boss, which is fun. But one of the main reasons was definitely that I could be there for my kids. So.
And besides the advantages and benefits it has to be self-employed, what are the biggest challenges that you face during your time of being self-employed?
So I mean, the biggest challenge is like, I would say the fact that you don't necessarily have people around you, like that camaraderie that you would have in an office. But at the same time, I know people that hate their coworkers, and you have to go every day and hate your coworkers. So, it's like you could like win or lose either way. So I do like make sure that I go out with friends, and happens to be my husband started working from home as well. So that means I get to talk to another adult during the day, which is fun. Yeah, so that's one of the downsides of working from home as a self-employed person. I think the second thing that some people find difficult is the procrastination, meaning you don't have a boss who's like telling you what to do. But happens to be I'm a very self-motivated, self-disciplined person. So I do like set myself deadlines and tasks, and when I need to get it done by, and everything like that. So.
You seem to be very content and happy when you talk about your work, even when you talk about the challenges. So I assume you're glad that you chose that path of being self-employed, right?
Yeah, I'm very happy. Also, in terms of the income, like you can grow your income as much as you want. When you have a job, you kind of have a set salary unless you're working based on commissions or something. But like that's it, you know. So I always love the challenge of the fact that like I made X amount this month, like maybe I can make double that, you know, the next 6 months or something like that.
Yeah. And what excites you most about working in the whole e-commerce sphere, like the Amazon industry? What is really, what are some of the factors that really say, okay, this excites me to work here?
Right. That's a great question. I think one of the main things is really the variety of people and products that I get to like work with and see. And that's always interesting because some people are like super friendly and nice to me when we like send emails or have phone calls and stuff like that. And some people are like, here's the work, thank you, goodbye. And like, there's no kind of like human interaction. And I'm like, I'm not a robot, like, you know,
yeah.
I'm a person and maybe I'm not feeling well today. So anyway, so that's always interesting, the different people. But I also just really enjoy seeing the different types of products. And I've probably written like over 400 or 500 listings in all my years of doing like Amazon stuff, like just hundreds of listings. And I rarely have seen the same like 2 products. I'll turn down a seller if I have ever done, but rarely have I been contacted by a seller that has the same product as somebody else. So I have to say, like, kudos to like the people that are doing their product research, because they're not necessarily picking the same thing that like everybody else has in the marketplace. So it's always interesting to see what new things people are coming up with as well.
Speaking of experience, now that you have written hundreds of listings and worked with hundreds of clients, in your opinion, what are some of the biggest mistakes that Amazon sellers make in terms of their branding or listings or anything?
Right. The biggest mistakes. Okay, it's a great question. What are the biggest mistakes? Well, like sometimes people don't necessarily have the budget to pay, let's say, me my full price. And I have a package where I offer to just do the copywriting without the keyword research. And some people really do know how to do that themselves, and some people don't. And then I'm just like, it's a shame because I've done really good copy for you, but if the keyword research is not there, then your listing is not going to show up. So that's like, you know, it's good to really, I guess, pay like for someone to do work properly. The second thing I think is that people rely on Amazon for traffic, and they don't necessarily think of ways they can drive traffic to their listing by themselves, by either doing promotions through social media or setting up their own website and their own email lists or using Messenger. And I understand why, because obviously it's difficult to really navigate so many different things. And a lot of, let's say, Amazon sellers who are new, they're working by themselves. They don't necessarily have a team that they can rely on to be in charge of the marketing. So they're like doing absolutely everything in their business. So, but I think that one of the main things that Amazon sellers should be doing is really thinking about the big picture and how they can build themselves as a brand and drive their own traffic to their listings. And that way they're much more in control, as opposed to just relying on Amazon and just constantly paying tons and tons of money for PPC just to compete with everybody else, on the search results.
All right. And one of the biggest words lately, buzzwords, is branding. So
branding, yeah.
So I want to talk a little bit about that. In your opinion, what makes a good, strong brand?
Right. So in my opinion, what makes a really good, strong brand is a brand that really has a strong message and sort of values behind what they're doing. So just as an example, one of my favorite brands that I found on Amazon, they're actually like, they have a lot of different yoga type of products, but their branding is so like spot on, and they stand out from everybody else in the industry. And it's not just about the images, like it's not just about the color, whatever. The colors and the images you use are a huge part of it, but what it comes down to is the planning that they probably did beforehand. And their whole vibe is like just so relaxing and so like soothing, and you just kind of want to buy their products. So you're like, oh, this brand looks amazing. Like, and everything is so cohesive as well. So they've obviously spent a lot of time on the textures that they use in their images and the colors, and everything is just like, you go on their website, you go on their social media channels, you go on their listings, and you instantly recognize who they are as a brand because you remember those colors and you remember the patterns that they're using. And you remember the fonts also, they have this very clear kind of font. And I don't think people spend enough time in that planning stage of your brand. Like they think they could just throw it up and then figure it out as they go along. But it's so important to have a strong brand message and have a strong brand story and values before you start. And that way you're really going to cut through a lot of the noise, I think, that's out there.
So consistency is basically one of the biggest characteristics of a strong brand.
Yeah, definitely consistency, and also having a personality that stands out. Like, I think people are afraid maybe to take risks and be a little bit more creative. And I understand that as well, because you don't want to be like too different and too crazy in the marketplace, especially on Amazon, because then people will be like a little bit, you know, I don't know who this company is, they seem like a bit weird, whatever. But it is fun, like sometimes when you have something cute and that's different. Like another example I came across recently was someone was selling something in sports, and like there was, I'm not gonna, whatever, let's just pretend it was like those cones that you use for like soccer training, football. And everyone's listings basically look the same, but this guy had like little stick figure cartoons on his EBC, and it was just so cute, and it made his brand really stand out because it was more cute. It was geared towards sort of children, and it made you feel something as well. So if you can do that as a brand, make people feel something, you're going to be that much more memorable as well.
All right. So we talked now about the personality of a brand. When we talk about your personality and your character traits, what is a skill or characteristic that you wish you had, but you don't have?
I wish I had. Okay. Well, sometimes I wish that that maybe I was like a little more serious. I'm always smiling, and I'm a very happy person, and I'm like, and I have kind of like, I don't know, young. I like to have a lot of fun, very active. So sometimes I'm like, oh, I should be more serious. Like I should be more like adult, you know.
But I think it's refreshing.
That's who I am. So
yeah, exactly. I think you shouldn't change too much who you are.
This is true. Yes.
And if you could have a superpower, like flying, what is the word? Teletransportation, whatever.
Yes.
Which kind of superpower would you like to have if you could have?
What superpower would you have?
I would really like to have the ability to teletransport just everywhere.
Go anywhere.
Yeah, like I wish I'd be in China right now, like meeting a lot of people from the industry, and then just go like this, visit my friend in Holland or whatever, just go around with no boundaries and
without the jet lag, right?
Without the jet lag. It's good for the environment. So yeah, this would be my choice, I think.
Your superpower. I think my superpower would be to have like endless energy. That would be cool.
But you seem like a very energetic person.
I am, but this is the morning. When it's the evening, I'm like a little bit more mellow. So after like I put my kids to bed and stuff. But yeah, like that would be cool, because then you would just be able to keep going. And
would you describe yourself as a morning person?
I used to be like a very morning person. And then I had children, and then my sleep schedule got a little bit messed up. So I became less of a morning person, but I'm still good. Like, I get up, I have my coffee, sometimes I do some yoga and get started. Yeah.
Awesome. You have 3 kids, right?
Yeah.
How do you manage your work-life balance? Like taking the time to spend with your kids and also being a super entrepreneur. How do you find the balance between those 2 worlds?
Yeah. So what I try and do is get the bulk of the work done during the day while they're at nursery, kindergarten, or school, whatever. And then when they come home, I try and spend that time with them, focus on them. You know, we go to the park, whatever, make dinner, bath, bedtime, you know, that whole schedule. And then sometimes in the evening, like I'll answer emails and do a little bit more work if I didn't get everything done during the day. So that's basically the balance. I mean, obviously, like there are days where kids are sick and they have to stay home, but what I've tried to do is like organize my business now that I have other people on my team that can help me if it's a very busy like season. Like recently we just had a whole bunch of Jewish holidays and my kids were off school for like basically 2 weeks. So I had people that were there to help me finish the project, and it worked out very well because I wasn't stressed out and I was able to take my kids on outings. Obviously, my husband is extremely supportive, and it's a huge help that he also works from home because then he's around as well to help take the kids to school and pick them up. And yeah, so
That's
good.
great. I can imagine that your kids are one of the main motivations to keep going and that they inspire you to be a great entrepreneur. Who or what else does inspire you?
So I would definitely, one of my main inspirations, I think, in my life is my dad, actually, because he's always been like an entrepreneur, and he started like a lot of different businesses over the years. When he was like in his 20s, he was like, I don't know, he was in the newspaper like for being like the most successful like guy out of university. So so I've definitely grown up with that like entrepreneurial mindset. Happens to be my mom also is like a self-starter. She's also self-employed. So I think it's in my blood. It's in my genes. So yeah.
Do you also have any famous people, like famous entrepreneurs, Gary Vaynerchuk, Elon Musk, whatever? I mean, there are hundreds of them.
So,
like some popular, famous people that inspire you?
yeah, definitely Sarah Blakely from Spanx. She's one of like, I just love watching interviews with her and seeing what she posts. I follow her on LinkedIn. She's really super inspirational, and she's so down to earth as well, which is one of the main things. It's like, sometimes people think that, you know, super wealthy or super successful people become like snobs or just, you know, they're hard to connect with, but like she just seems like really cool and really down to earth, even though she's like a billionaire. So she's one of my main people that I look up to. And who else? Marie Forleo also, I used to watch some of her videos, and she's just got that super happy kind of attitude as well around business. And I like that. I like having that more feminine kind of vibe in my business. I don't think that you always need to be channeling the male energy. So yeah. And you can still be successful, you know, being like who you are and everything like that.
Would you like to work with them or only use them as source of inspiration?
If I could work with one of them, that would be like a dream come true. That would be like, I would like fall on the floor. Like it would be crazy. Yeah, maybe I'll send out some vibes. Like maybe they'll like, they'll hear that I want to work with them. That would be so cool. Yeah.
All right. And speaking of famous people, if you had the chance to go to speak to Jeff Bezos and ask him for one favor or one thing, what do you think you would ask him?
You know what? That's a great question. And I think, you know what, one of the things I think I would ask him would be to improve conditions for people that actually work in Amazon like warehouses. Because I've seen so many articles about how, I don't know, it just seems that they have terrible working conditions. They don't even get paid a lot. Like, and I'm like, it's so sad. Like, you know, so I would be like, you should take care of your people. Like, you should take care of your employees because they're the ones who are helping you build this massive empire. So that's one thing I would ask from him. Yeah.
That's very nice and very selfless.
Yeah, I guess. I mean, I think there's a lot that Amazon sellers would also ask for because there's definitely a lot of issues there as well with fees and just crazy things like suspensions that come up. So those are definitely a huge factor for Amazon sellers as well. So he should definitely do something about that and all the crazy hijackers and illegal things that sellers get up to as well. So they should keep on top of that as well.
All right, then I'm already at my last question. If you had the attention of every Amazon seller in the world and you could give them 3 tips, which ones would that be?
Okay. I think the first tip is something that I've learned over the years of me running my business, and that's patience. And patience is something I'm not very good at, and it's something I've had to really work on. Because, you know, you have these dreams and ideas and you want them to just like happen overnight. And really, if you don't take the steps to build things up slowly and build like a strong foundation for your business, you probably won't succeed, or you might succeed for a short time, but you're not going to succeed in the long term. So definitely having the patience to build things up properly is the key for any business. So that's my first tip from my 4 short years of being self-employed. The second thing, let's think. Yeah, here's a tip this is actually for EBC. Is that okay if it's very specific?
Sure.
It's not like, okay. So the second tip is, I think I see a lot of sellers struggling with EBC, because sometimes what they'll do is they'll hire a graphic designer to kind of put together the EBC for them. But what they really need to do is have someone who would be like the art director, so to speak, and really plan out the page with either sketches or just even in words to say what each module is going to be focused on. Because really the EBC layout should be more of like sort of a story, or even could be advertising if you have other products. So you really need to plan out what it's going to be and what message you want to get across. So a lot of times that is something that I help sellers with, which is coming up with a template of what kind of images they want, what they want the images to show. Obviously, I'm not a graphic designer, but I'm the one that's putting, like, I put copy on the images and stuff like that. So having someone that can plan that out for you before you jump in to hiring a graphic designer or hiring a photographer is one of the most important things, because again, it's building the foundation of something that's, you know, going to help you sell more. So that's tip number 2. So, and tip number 3 is, after working with Amazon sellers for already a few years, I can see that the most successful people in the industry are not just people who consider themselves Amazon sellers, but they consider themselves e-commerce business owners. And what that means is that they don't just focus on Amazon as their only channel. They also focus on having their own website, or even just having a landing page where they can drive traffic to their listing, setting up good social media profiles on Facebook and Instagram, and even YouTube. YouTube is amazing, especially if you have a website and you have like videos that are linked to it, you're going to rank higher on Google. And Pinterest is a huge source of traffic that I think many people don't even take advantage of. And you know, there's such a thing as viable pins nowadays as well. And I think that's going to be a huge game changer in the e-commerce industry. So definitely having a bigger picture in your head versus just focusing on Amazon as the only source of income is going to be a huge advantage for anyone that's getting into e-commerce or is already in e-commerce. So thinking big.
All right, these are some great tips. Thank you for sharing. I hope our listeners and viewers took some notes. And then we're already at the end of the interview. Thanks so much, Sacha. It was a pleasure having you here.
Thank you so much. It was great talking to you.
Alrighty, that was my interview with Sacha. Thank you guys for watching. I hope you enjoyed it. If you have any questions for her or for me, simply leave your comment below this video. I also put some useful links in the description where you can find out more about Sacha's copywriting services and Sermondo.com. And now I want to know from you guys, did you ever work with a professional copywriter before? If yes, how was it? If no, why did you decide to write your own copy? Please let me know and drop your comment below. And if you haven't subscribed to our channel yet, you can do this now by either clicking the red subscribe button or clicking the Sermondo globe somewhere here. And yeah, I see you guys next time.